Parliament starts its inquiry into the SABC, but the public broadcaster's leadership remains defiant. Meanwhile, the public protector says the SABC is undermining the authority of her office. Good evening, you're watching eNews Direct. I'm Duduzile Ramela.
And I'm Sandile Gangose. Good evening.
To comment on any of our stories, you can find us on Twitter and Facebook. That's at eNews Direct.
And tonight our hashtags are SABC, Nathi Nhleko and Sifiso Ncwane.
The battle between an ad hoc parliamentary committee and the SABC is raging on. The inquiry into the Public Broadcasters Board started today despite attempts to halt proceedings. The ad hoc committee is examining the board's fitness to hold office. Today's proceedings were stalled as news of another attempt to stop the inquiry from going ahead emerged. The SABC's delegation then walked out, saying important documents were not provided in Braille. The only remaining non-executive board member and chairperson, Magube, is blind. The committee says it sent the documents to the SABC for transcription days ago. Meanwhile, the public protector, Busisiwe Mkhwebane, says the SABC has undermined the authority of her office by failing to implement remedial action on several occasions. She says they may have to go to court, rather.
You choose and pick which remedial actions you are implementing. That's also further indication that it's not taking the office seriously, because if you have a challenge with one of the remedial action or you are not happy with all the remedial action, the best way is to, as quickly as possible, take us on judicial review. But then they chose to implement one, and after the court has intervened in that particular matter.
Well, Magube says he felt bullied, belittled and disrespected by the ad hoc committee. He held a media briefing after his walkout.
With the support of controversial SABC head of corporate affairs, Claudio Motswaneng, Magube lashed out at the inquiry.
I believed that the process was not going to be fair, independent and impartial. Then the attitude that prevailed today, as the inquiry was commencing, was very, very negative or hostile. As the chairperson, I felt bullied, I felt belittled, I felt disrespected.
Magube had turned to the courts to halt the inquiry, but it was dismissed. He is now appealing that decision. From the get-go, the lone board member had objections. He wanted all documents converted to Braille. This was rejected as a stalling tactic by the committee. Chairperson Vincent Smith said Magube had been asked to indicate whether he wanted this done 5 days ahead of the start of the inquiry. Magube had apparently said he would have them done himself. Motswaneng, meanwhile, said outside forces are jealous of the public broadcaster's success. He claims the committee has a political agenda.
There are many forces having different interests on the SABC, putting their own agenda, abusing the same process of Parliament to deal with the SABC.
The ANC's chief whip has slated the behavior of the SABC's representatives, saying it's the latest in a series of stalling tactics. Jackson Mthembu says this, combined with the refusal to hand over certain documents to the committee, is shocking and disgusting.
Staying with news on the SABC, the public broadcaster's problems continue. ICASA's Complaints and Compliance Committee now plans to investigate claims that the public broadcaster contravened the Broadcasting Act. At the same time, the Auditor General's office has revealed dodgy dealings at the corporation. Officials from his office have been making presentations at the parliamentary inquiry.
In the past, in the current year, there's been issues where the original tax clearance has not been provided, which is part of the requirements in terms of the SCM regulations. And then you'll see also that there's been payments made without the contract. Okay, if you want the full values and details, they've been shown there disclosure notes. And also there's some weaknesses which are there in terms of their contract management when it comes to the suppliers.
A multi-million rand government mansion is up for sale in Gauteng. It has been empty since 2014. It was meant to house the province's premier, but current premier, David Makhura, said he had no use for it when he took up the post.
It's a multi-million rand haven. From 2004, this house was the official home for premiers of the Gauteng province. Built on 3,700 square meters of land, it has this to wake up to. It also boasts 9 bathrooms and a gym. 3 premiers have lived here: Bazima Shilowa, Nomvula Mokonyane and Paul Mashatile. But current Premier David Makhura said he and his family would rather live in their personal home. All the luxurious building was being used for until now was meetings, yet still costing millions to maintain. The department says it wants to get rid of assets that are no longer benefiting the government.
Government has finally finished its immovable asset register. And that means that now we know how many assets we have in government. We know where they are, what their condition is. And then EXCO then took a decision that, after looking at that asset register, it took a decision that residential properties that were still under government were not bringing much yield in terms of contributing to the work, the core business of government, which is service delivery.
So this means this house could be yours. Well, that's if you have more than 9 million rand lying around. The online bidding process started this past Monday. The Gauteng government says this is not the last of the residential properties to go under the hammer. There are about 400 that will be sold over the next year. So if you have the bucks to bid on this beauty, you have until midday on Monday. Zikhona Chona, Bryanston in Johannesburg.
Police Minister Nkosinathi Nhleko appeared before the Parliamentary Committee on Policing today. He seemed reluctant to answer questions on controversies involving his department.
Members of Parliament wanted answers. First up, Nhleko's fight with IPID head Robert McBride. Nhleko wants to suspend McBride following claims that he altered an investigation report into the alleged illegal rendition of several Zimbabweans.
How can you ask us to initiate proceedings to remove from office when the basis for establishing whether that's the case or not has not been tested?
To which the minister answered,
the process should be an inquiry, because an inquiry can then still, even if it's framed like in the manner in which it is framed, an inquiry can arrive at the point where it says, no, Mr. Mbele is proper and fit to hold office.
Then the controversy surrounding Acting Police Commissioner Komocho Phihlane and Hawks head Benning Tlemeza. Phihlane is accused of contacting witnesses during a probe into his 8 million rand house. Tlemeza's fitness as Hawks boss is being challenged in court.
General Tlemeza, he was found in a court that his integrity is under question. Did the minister consider that when he appointed him?
That matter is being tested there in court. Let's hear what the court then says around this issue.
Asked if he'd be willing to step down if the court found Tlemeza's appointment unlawful.
Do you want me to answer, to respond to something that is not there yet, and so forth? I don't know what the court is likely to come up with. The ifs and when and ases and so forth.
Parliament.
Teachers at a rural primary school in KwaZulu-Natal's South Coast say gospel singer Sfiso Ncwane's passing is a major blow for them. Ncwane donated uniforms to pupils and helped with renovations at the school.
This is Disbongucheza Lower Primary School on the KwaZulu-Natal South Coast, where multi-award-winning gospel singer Sifiso Ncwane chose to celebrate his 37th birthday. He grew up in this poor community. Although Ncwane didn't complete his schooling, he committed to assist many underprivileged pupils.
Ngama-birthdays akho uthembisile ukuthi uzofika wonke azowacelebrate la axoxe nothisha omkhulu ukuthi isikole yini esiyidingayo asinikeze zonke izinto esizidingayo njenganesikole. So nje silahlekelwe kakhulu ngoba nathi besijabula sesibona ukuthi sesizoqala sifane nezinye izikole.
8-year-old Samukelo Shabani was one of the 50 beneficiaries.
Kakicathule nebhluke neshirt nejezi.
Raised by a single unemployed mother, Ncwane's donation brought great relief and his passing has left her heartbroken.
Ngaba nokujabula kakhulu enhlizweni yami umntwana uSifiso ethengele umntwana wami uniform. Kumanje uyafunda ufunda ngeuniform yaSifiso. Ngikuhlungu enhlizweni yami. Ngithi kufa wenuko.
The musician is delayed to rest on Saturday after a memorial service at the Moses Mabhida Stadium. Thuba Vilane, Waqoloqolo on the south coast.
Let's move beyond our borders now, and Ghanaians went to the polls today as President John Mahama seeks a second term. 7 candidates are contending for the country's top position. Analysts say this presidential race will be tight. Political parties have pledged to keep the process peaceful after an opposition supporter died at a rally on Monday. Election results are expected within 3 days. A Pakistan International Airlines plane has crashed, killing at least 21 people. Authorities are doubtful there'll be any survivors from flight PK116, which was en route to Islamabad. It was traveling from the northern town of Chitral when it lost control with the control tower. At least 47 people were on board. It is indeed. Thank you so much, Sandile. Former ANC chairperson in the Northern Cape, John Block's leave to appeal his imprisonment for fraud and money laundering will be heard in February. Both Block and his business partner, Christos Scholz, were found guilty of fraud and corruption in the Kimberley High Court yesterday. Block has been sentenced to 15 years for corruption and 12 years for money laundering. The charges relate to their involvement in inflating prices for the Provincial Social Development Department. And U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has been named Time magazine's 2016 Person of the Year. The publication cited the upheaval in American politics caused by the election campaign and victory of the businessman turned politician. Trump's victory has sparked several divisions among Americans. Others who were shortlisted for the title include Hillary Clinton, Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan, and Beyonce. If you've missed any of the stories we're tracking for you tonight, you can of course find us on Twitter and Facebook. That's at eNews Direct, or you can head on over to our website. That's eNCA.com/direct. Your business news and your weather details after this. Welcome back. Data from the Reserve Bank shows that South Africa's net foreign reserves have dropped by more than $800 million. The decrease in gross reserves reflects a drop in the gold price, the stronger dollar and foreign exchange payments made on behalf of government. The country's gross reserves fell to $47 billion. Foreign exchange reserves are an important indicator of a country's ability to repay foreign debt in the short term. Reserves are also taken into account when determining a country's credit rating. South Africa recently managed to maintain its investment grade status with all 3 major ratings agencies. Let's see how the markets performed today. Here's Candace with all your weather details.
We saw a number of large thunderstorms forming over the interior on Wednesday afternoon. You'll see that first light extending over Gauteng, Mpumalanga and Limpopo with a shade of red representing the possibility of hail, and a second batch flaring up over KwaZulu-Natal and even extending through to the Free State on Wednesday afternoon. Much of that thunderstorm activity continues overnight as well as into Thursday, with a large area of isolated thundershowers extending over the central, northeastern and eastern parts. We're expecting a mostly sunny day over the western and southern part of South Africa, with some cloud and cooler temperatures expected in the southwest. It'll be a hot day for KwaZulu-Natal on Thursday, 38 degrees for Lundi, 36 for Richards Bay and Pietermaritzburg, with isolated thundershowers throughout the province. The thundershowers will extend through to the eastern part of the Eastern Cape. It'll be a much warmer day, especially over the interior, with highs in the upper 30s, and there's a watch for the possibility of severe thunderstorms over the eastern interior. Partly cloudy and hot over the Western Cape interior, but with a cooler day in the southwest. Partly cloudy for Cape Town and Hermanus, both at 23 degrees. Very little change in the weather for the Northern Cape at the moment. Kimberley and Potchefstroom in the mid-30s with the possibility of thundershowers. Thundershowers also extend throughout the Free State in the upper 20s for Bethlehem, Harrismith and Zatchron, with the rest of those maximums in the low 30s. We keep in the low 30s with another hot day for the northwest and up to a 40% chance of thundershowers. Thundershowers extend through to the southwestern part of Limpopo with a dry forecast for the rest of the province. Lephalale and Messina at 38. 34 for Bombela with highs in the upper 20s as we head west, with isolated thundershowers throughout Mpumalanga as well as into Gauteng, where we can expect a mostly cloudy day and a high of around 30 degrees. A few degrees warmer in Pretoria at 32. On Friday, hot weather and thundershowers continue over the eastern half of South Africa, with some morning rain for Cape Town and rain and cooler weather along the southern and southeastern coastline. On Saturday, we're expecting rain from George all the way through to Richards Bay, with thundershowers mainly in the northeast. That's all from the Weather Centre for now. Have a great night.
Thank you, Candice. After the break, Ladysmith Black Mambazo could add another Grammy to their collection of 4 as the nominations for 2017 are announced. The nominations for the 2017 Grammy Awards have been revealed.
And they're led by Beyoncé. The R&B star is in the lead with 9 nominations for her Lemonade album.
Why can't you see me?
By scooping 9 nominations for the 2017 Grammy Awards, Beyoncé is officially extending her lead as the most nominated woman in the history of the Grammys. The artist has been nominated 62 times and won 20 Grammy Awards. Beyoncé's nominations all include Album, Song and Record of the Year, the top 3 Grammy accolades for her hit song Formation and visual album Lemonade. Beyoncé joins Adele's 25, Drake's Views, Justin Bieber's Purpose and Sturgill Simpson's A Sailor's Guide to Earth in the nomination for Album of the Year category. And with 8 nominations, Kanye West has notched 68 Grammy nominations and won 21 times. And our very own male music group Ladysmith Black Mambazo received 1 nomination in the Best World Music Album category for Walking in the Footsteps of Our Fathers. The group has scooped 4 Grammy Awards. The 59th Annual Grammy Awards will be held in February 2017 at the Staples Center in Los Angeles.
A reminder of the top stories before we say goodbye. Parliament starts its inquiry into the SABC, but the public broadcaster's leadership remains defiant. While the public protector says the SABC is undermining the authority of her office. And that's a wrap from the eNews Direct team.
Yep, up next, London City.
We do love to hear from you. You can send us an email to enewsdirect@etv.co.za.
Well, of course, you can just talk to us on Twitter and Facebook, and our handle is @eNewsDirect.
Until tomorrow night, have a fantastic evening. Bye-bye.